The first sign that something was wrong wasn't the soldiers. It wasn't the politicians. It wasn't even the coups. It was the bananas. By the early 1900s, enormous fruit companies from the United States controlled vast stretches of land across Central America. Entire coastlines were covered in endless banana plantations, owned not by governments, but by corporations powerful enough to build their own railroads, ports, housing systems, and private security forces. And in some countries, these companies became more powerful than the state itself. At the center of it all was the United Fruit Company, a business so wealthy and politically connected that critics would eventually accuse it of controlling presidents, influencing wars, and helping overthrow governments to protect its profits. It started as fruit. It became an empire. Bananas were once considered exotic luxuries in the United States. In the late 1800s, most Americans had never even tasted one. But improvements in steamships and refrigeration suddenly made it possible to transport tropical fruit across oceans before it spoiled. The opportunity was enormous. Entrepreneurs rushed into Central America searching for cheap land and cheap labor. They bought massive territories in countries like Guatemala, Honduras, Costa Rica, and Panama, then transformed huge sections of jungle into industrial plantations. Entire forests disappeared. Railroads cut through tropical mountains. Swamps were drained, ports expanded. Small farming communities were pushed aside as corporations created giant agricultural systems designed entirely around one thing: exporting bananas north as fast and cheaply as possible. The profits exploded. By the early 20th century, bananas had become one of the most profitable food industries in the world. In the United States, the fruit transformed from luxury item into everyday food. Children carried bananas in school lunches. Grocery stores stacked them in enormous quantities. Advertising campaigns portrayed them as modern, healthy, and affordable. But behind the bright yellow fruit was an incredibly brutal system. Plantation workers often lived in crowded company housing under strict control from foreign-owned corporations. Wages stayed low. Working conditions were dangerous. Tropical diseases spread constantly through the humid fields. Laborers hacked through dense heat for long hours, while snakes, insects, and chemical exposure became normal parts of daily life. And nearly everything around them belonged to the company: the housing, the stores, the railroads, even local politics. In many regions, fruit corporations built infrastructure faster than governments could. They controlled transportation networks, ports, communication systems, and thousands of jobs. Entire national economies became dependent on banana exports. That dependence created enormous political leverage. Soon, governments across Central America realized something dangerous. If the fruit companies left, entire economies could collapse. And the companies knew it too. The phrase "banana republic" emerged during this era to describe countries whose politics and economies became dominated by foreign fruit corporations. In some places, presidents rose or fell depending on whether companies approved of them. The most powerful corporation of all was United Fruit. Founded through mergers between several banana businesses, United Fruit expanded aggressively across Central America and the Caribbean. At its peak, the company controlled millions of acres of land, massive shipping fleets, and one of the largest private transportation systems in the region. Its influence reached deep into Washington. Executives developed close ties with American politicians, bankers, and media organizations. The company portrayed itself as a force for modernization and economic growth. Railroads, ports, and jobs were presented as proof that foreign investment was improving the region. But critics saw something else. They saw countries becoming economically trapped inside systems controlled by outsiders whose primary goal was profit. Nowhere did tensions become more explosive than Guatemala. In 1951, a reform-minded president named Jacobo Arbenz took office. Arbenz believed Guatemala needed land reform. Huge sections of farmland sat unused while large parts of the population remained poor and landless. So the government moved to redistribute some unused land to local farmers. One of the biggest landowners affected was United Fruit. The company reacted aggressively. Executives warned American officials that Guatemala was becoming dangerously unstable and vulnerable to communist influence during the height of the Cold War. Inside the United States government, fears of Soviet expansion were already growing across the world. United Fruit understood exactly how to frame the situation. The company launched major lobbying campaigns and used political connections to push the idea that Arbenz represented a serious threat to American interests in the region. Then the CIA got involved. In 1954, the United States backed a covert operation to remove Arbenz from power. Propaganda broadcasts spread panic across Guatemala, while rebel forces advanced toward the capital. Psychological warfare created the illusion of a massive invasion force, even though the attacking army itself was relatively small. The pressure worked. Arbenz resigned, the government collapsed, and the event became one of the most infamous examples of corporate influence colliding with Cold War geopolitics. The consequences lasted for decades. Political instability spread across Guatemala. Military regimes gained power. Violence escalated. Civil conflict eventually consumed the country, contributing to years of bloodshed and repression. Meanwhile, the banana companies continued operating. But the industry itself carried hidden weaknesses. Bananas are unusually vulnerable crops because many commercial plantations rely on genetically similar plants. Disease can spread rapidly through entire regions when biodiversity disappears. And eventually, disaster arrived. One of the world's most popular banana varieties, the Gros Michel banana, began collapsing due to a fungal disease known as Panama disease. Plantations across Latin America suffered devastating losses as entire fields became infected. The industry scrambled to survive. Companies eventually shifted toward a different variety called the Cavendish banana, which resisted the disease temporarily. It became the dominant banana sold globally and remains the standard supermarket banana today. But even that solution may not last forever. Modern banana farming still faces major disease threats, environmental damage, and criticism over labor conditions. In some ways, the same systems built over a century ago continue operating today. And it's strange to realize how much global power once revolved around something so ordinary. A simple fruit helped reshape economies, influence foreign policy, build corporate empires, and destabilize entire governments. Bananas became tools of modern capitalism, symbols of globalization, and weapons inside larger political struggles between nations and corporations. Behind grocery store shelves and colorful advertisements was a world of jungle railroads, exploited workers, political manipulation, and international power games. And for decades, some of the most powerful forces in Central America weren't presidents or armies. They were fruit companies,